So picture this. You're in charge of IT at a big company. You've got thousands of employees, and every single one of them has a laptop. A lot of them have a company phone, maybe even a tablet. Now, how in the world do you make sure every one of those devices is secure, has the right software, and can get to company data without, putting the whole company at risk? It's a huge, complicated puzzle. All right, let's dive in. For a ton of organizations, the answer to that puzzle is a tool called Microsoft Intune. We're going to break down exactly how this thing works, how it basically becomes the digital gatekeeper for your entire company, making sure every device is playing by the rules. So here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll get into what Intune actually is. Then we'll look at how it keeps devices secure, how it automates all that tedious IT work, and how it solves real everyday problems. And finally, we'll see where it fits into that bigger Microsoft 365 universe. Ready? Let's go. Okay, first things first. What exactly are we talking about when we say Intune? Well, the easiest way to think about it is as the central command center for every single device your company owns. This is the perfect way to look at it. If your company's data is a castle, Intune is the gatekeeper, standing at the front door. It checks the ID of every single device, laptops, phones, you name it, and makes sure it's following the rules before it's allowed inside. It's the security guard making sure only the good guys get in. Now, for the slightly more technical definition from Microsoft, they call it a cloud-based endpoint management solution. Let's just translate that real quick. Cloud-based is simple. It means you don't need any servers in your office. It all runs in the cloud. Endpoint management is the real key. An endpoint is just a fancy word for any device at the end of your network, like your laptop or your phone. So Intune's whole job is to manage all of those from one single place. And when I say all of them, I really mean it. Intune doesn't care if your team is on Windows or if they love their MacBooks. It handles iPhones, Androids. It can even manage Linux desktops now. And that's absolutely crucial today, right? Because everybody's using a mix of different tech. So Intune can see all the devices. That's step one. But its most important job, really, is securing them. This is where it sets the rules of the road, the security policies that every device has to follow to keep company data safe. And the way it does this is super smart. It uses something called security baselines. A baseline is pretty much a pre-made security template. It's a set of best practices and rules that Microsoft's own security experts have already figured out for you. So instead of an IT admin trying to configure hundreds of settings from scratch, they can just apply this baseline and get a huge head start. And let's look at some real examples of what that means. The Windows baseline can automatically force encryption on any USB drive that gets plugged into a computer. So if someone loses it, no big deal, the data's unreadable. It can also require a password every time a device wakes up from sleep. So simple, but so effective. And this third one, attack surface reduction. This is next level. It's not just about blocking viruses we already know about. It's about proactively blocking the techniques attackers use, like shady macros and an email. It stops attacks before they even happen. And you don't just have to take my word for it. Microsoft themselves say that these baselines are built on the best practices from their security experts. So you're not guessing. You're starting with a foundation that's already been vetted by the pros. That's a massive advantage. But it doesn't stop with just setting security rules. Intune can also automate a ton of the day-to-day work that IT teams get bogged down with. It's like putting parts of your IT department on autopilot. Just how much automation are we talking about? Well, there's a huge library of over 40 ready-to-go scripts that admins can use right out of the box. These are powerful tools built by the community to solve common problems. And these scripts solve real, everyday headaches. You can have one that automatically frees up disk space when a computer's getting full. Another one can gently pop up a notification to remind a user that they really need to restart their machine for updates. You can even run a diagnostics script on a new PC to make sure everything's good to go before you start setting it up. I mean, this is automation that saves thousands of hours of manual work. And speaking of saving time, all this automation makes Intune the absolute best friend of the IT help desk, because it helps them solve some of the most common user problems in a flash. Okay, here's a classic. A user gets a brand new phone, they're all excited, and they try to set it up, but they get an error, device cap reached. Frustrating, right? Well, with Intune, the help desk admin just logs in, sees the user has an old phone still registered to their account, clicks remove, and boom, problem solved in about 30 seconds. Or how about this one? The company portal, which is how employees get their apps, suddenly stops working. 9 times out of 10, the app's files just got a little corrupted. The fix? The IT team can just tell the user to uninstall and reinstall the app. It's a quick fix that solves the problem right away, no complicated troubleshooting needed. All right, so let's zoom out for a second. Intune doesn't live on an island by itself. It's actually a critical piece of the much, much bigger Microsoft 365 ecosystem, and understanding where it fits in is key. See, you don't usually go out and buy Intune all by itself. It comes baked into the main business licenses that companies use, like Microsoft 365 E3 and E5. It's the foundational layer, the bedrock that all the other security and productivity tools are built on top of.
Now, this slide is really important for getting the whole picture. Notice that Intune is included in both the E3 and E5 licenses. It's the constant. But now look at another tool, Defender for Endpoint. With E3, you get Plan 1, which is great, standard antivirus protection. But when you jump to E5, you get Plan 2, which adds all this advanced stuff, like threat hunting and automatic responses to attacks.
And that brings us to the most crucial point. Intune's job is to manage the device, to make sure it's healthy and following the rules. Then, the more advanced tools you get in a license, like E5, layer on top of that managed device to actively protect it. They're a team. Intune gets the device ready for the game, and tools like Defender play defense. So let's just quickly recap the big takeaways. First, Intune lets you manage all your company devices from one central cloud-based spot. Second, it automatically enforces security rules using those expert-recommended baselines. Third, it automates a ton of routine IT work with scripts. And finally, it's the foundation for the whole Microsoft 365 security system. Which really leaves us with one final thought. We're in this new world where work happens anywhere, on any device. The old idea of a secure office with a big firewall, that's kind of gone. The new security perimeter is every single laptop and phone. So the real question is, in this new reality, how can any company afford not to have a digital gatekeeper watching every single one of those doors?